Welcome back to The Explainer, the show where we break down big ideas. And today, we're tackling a huge one, leadership. Specifically, we're asking what comes after the age of the hero. All right, let's just jump right in with a question. When I say the word leader, what picture comes to mind? Seriously, what do you see? For a lot of us, it's probably that classic image, right? Some lone, heroic figure at the very top of the pyramid calling all the shots. And look, for decades, that was the model. That was the gold standard. But that whole idea, the lone hero steering the ship, it's really starting to feel a bit outdated. Let's be honest. The world is just way too complex now, way too interconnected for any single person to have all the answers. So what we're seeing instead is this whole new leadership paradigm bubbling up. It's a huge shift, really. We're moving away from that old school top-down, I'm the boss kind of structure. And we're moving towards something that's way more about collaboration, emotional intelligence, and a real shared sense of purpose. It's all about shared influence now, not a single person giving commands. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like? Let's dive into our first model, and this one, well, it pretty much flips the entire idea of leadership on its head. We're talking about leadership as service, or as it's better known, the servant leader. Yeah, this idea has actually been around for a while. It was first put forward by a guy named Robert K. Greenleaf, way back in 1970. And his whole argument was that real, true leadership doesn't start with wanting to be in charge. Nope. It starts with a natural feeling that you want to serve first. And that, right there, just completely turns the traditional power dynamic upside down. And this image? This is the perfect way to picture it, you see? The whole pyramid is flipped. Instead of the team serving the leader at the top, the leader is at the bottom, supporting everyone else. Their main job, their whole reason for being there, is to support, to equip, and to help their team grow. Their team's needs come first, period. So Greenleaf actually identified 10 key characteristics for this type of leader. Let's walk through them. The first three are like the absolute foundation. It all starts with listening. And I don't just mean hearing sounds, I mean really listening to understand. When you do that, it naturally leads to empathy, putting yourself in their shoes. And from there, it's about healing, which is all about making sure people feel supported and whole at work. Okay, next up, you've got awareness. This means being really tuned into yourself, your team, what's going on around you. Then there's persuasion. Instead of just barking orders, they convince people. They build consensus. They don't just lean on their title. And all of this is guided by conceptualization, which is a fancy word for being able to see the big picture, to think beyond just the next deadline. And the last few really tie it all together. There's foresight, which is about looking ahead and anticipating the future. Stewardship, which is this deep sense of responsibility for the people and the organization. A huge commitment to the growth of people. I mean, truly wanting to see each person develop personally and professionally. And finally, all of this works to build community, creating a place where people genuinely feel connected and like they belong. All right, so if servant leadership is about what a leader does for their team, our next model is all about who that leader is on the inside. Let's talk about authentic leadership. This whole approach really boils down to one simple but super powerful question. Is this person for real? Is their leadership genuine? Because in a world that feels so insecure and chaotic a lot of the time, what people are really craving is leadership they can trust.
Someone bona fide.
And this isn't just some feel-good idea. Check this out. A 2022 study found that Gen Z, the generation that's basically taking over the workforce right now, believes authentic leadership is the most effective style out there. That is a massive signpost for where leadership is headed. A big name in this space is Bill George. He's an author and professor, and he defines authentic leaders as people who have a really deep sense of purpose and are totally true to their core values. He has this great phrase for it. He says they follow their true north. And this model here shows you exactly how that works. See, right at the core, at the very heart of it, is their purpose and their values. And everything else, their relationships, their behaviors, it all radiates out from that center. It's the source of everything they do. So to break it down, authentic leaders have 5 key dimensions. They lead with purpose, and that's their passion. They live by their values, and that guides their behavior. They build real relationships through connectedness. They have self-discipline, which gives them consistency. And they lead with heart, which is all about compassion. Okay, so we've got leadership as service and leadership as being true to yourself. But what if leadership isn't even about a single person at all? Our final model takes this post heroic idea to its logical conclusion. This is distributed leadership, and it's all about leadership as a team sport. Yeah, just forget the idea of a single leader for a second. With this model, leadership is not a person, it's a shared responsibility that's spread throughout the entire network. The analogy I love is this: it's less like a conductor leading an orchestra from the front, and more like a jazz band, where the lead just flows from person to person depending on who have the right skill for that exact moment. Now, this idea gets misinterpreted all the time, so let's get really clear on this. What it is a shared responsibility. What it is not is just delegation in disguise. It is influence based on skill, but it is not a situation where everyone leads all the time. That would be chaos. At the end of the day, it's a collective achievement, not a solo performance. Okay, but let's take a step back and get real for a minute. As cool as all these models sound, they aren't magic bullets. They're not perfect, and it's super important we take a look at the reality check, the critiques and limitations. So, for example, servant leadership? It can be exhausting, honestly. It's time-consuming and puts leaders at a real risk for burnout. Authentic leadership? It sounds great, but there's actually not a ton of hard evidence that proves it's more effective, and you're kind of relying on the leader's own personal morality. And distributed leadership? Well, we just talked about how easily that one gets misunderstood. But even with those critiques, you can't ignore the pattern here. The big takeaway, the thing that connects all these ideas, is that there's a massive shift happening. The core principle is undeniable. Leadership is moving away from being a solo act and becoming a team sport. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. If the era of the hero is really over, what's next? The future of leadership isn't written yet. So the question we should be asking isn't who's going to be the next hero. The real question is, what kind of leadership are we, all of us, going to build together?